What's up, y'all? It's Jay here, and we finna get into some Atlanta secret gang war, YSL versus YFN. So like Young Thug and YFN Lucci. Like I said, I don't really know, too much. So we just gonna see what it's like. Y'all let me know, okay? Yeah, I like it. Make sure to like, subscribe, comment.
Shot, you know it will. My baby mama, my little girl, and my mama, and her friend. Both of them got shot. One bad move can jeopardize like my whole life.
Atlanta is arguably hip-hop's modern-day capital city. There's countless rappers to come out of the A, achieving legend status era after era. Back in the day, we had the likes of Ludacris and Lil Jon turning up the city with their shout and crunk-based rap bangers. As the game developed, we saw the likes of newer school trap rappers like Gucci Mane, OJ the Juke Man, and Waka Flocka, who went from trapping on Atlanta corners to their trap music booming out of the trunk of every passing car in Atlanta. T.I., Young Jeezy, Shorty Low, The Migos, Outkast, 2 Chainz, 21 Savage. There's so many Atlanta rap legends that the city might as well be a goat farm. But it's not just in the vocal booth where the legends of Atlanta emerged, because if you know rap or drill music very well, then you'll know that often behind the rap hits are gangs and hitters. And Atlanta itself has had one of the most illustrious histories when it comes to gangs running the city. BMF, or the Black Mafia family, were a notorious ring of drug traffickers who were running the city back in the noughties, taking their dope operation to heights never believed possible in the city, to the point where they were even getting billboards to advertise their criminal enterprise / record label. Now, today's Atlanta story isn't about BMF or the big time dope operations that have come through Atlanta, but that does provide the backdrop to a number of smaller outfits that would spawn some of the biggest names in Atlanta rap today. Because on the opposite end of the spectrum to the flashy, big money throwing lifestyle of the BMF, were the young G's coming up in the most difficult streets of Atlanta, fighting for survival and simply trying to make it out alive. And a lot of young men have come up through the trenches of Atlanta, eventually managing to make something of themselves, escaping the streets through a legitimate career in the music industry, with some even being lucky enough to become chart-topping megastars and getting far away from the dangerous streets they came from. But the problem is, when you make it out of the streets and onto the Billboard charts, you gotta try and stay there. Today, we're gonna be telling the story of 2 rappers, both coming out of the slums of 2 different parts of Atlanta's Zone 3, with both rappers getting an opportunity to get out of the streets, going clear and making millions of dollars legitimately through the music industry. But unfortunately, by the end of this story, you'll see that one side would remain a little too close to the streets and sadly getting caught up in a jam at the very height of his career. This is truly a story of struggle, potential, and opportunity, and the sad truth that sometimes you can work your entire life for an opportunity that can be lost in a second when your past life comes back to haunt you. This is the story of the long and bloody feud between Young Thug's YSL crew and YFN Lucci's YFN crew. A story which has been kept pretty secret for a number of years, but through weeks of meticulous research, pouring through lyrics, internet forums, and news reports, so today I'm going to unpack and unravel one of Atlanta's most iconic. Young Thug is truly one of the most unique and talented rappers of the last 10 years. Endlessly creative, his enormous catalogue is packed wall to wall with bangers. Coming from the slums of Atlanta, making some of the greasiest trap music imaginable, over the course of a decade-long career, Young Thug ascended from the gutter, going clear and becoming a full-blown pop star. #1 hits with Camila Cabello, Travis Scott, and Drake have all cemented him as one of the most reliable hit-making guest features over the past few years, putting him well on his way to his personal goal of having 10 #1s.
This year I want 10 #1 singles.
If you don't freestyle and you actually work on the singles and record great choruses and develop your songs, yes.
However, behind the iconic hitmaker is a harsh upbringing in some of the meanest streets of Atlanta. In fact, when Sway asked Young Thug where he was from, he had an interesting answer.
Where did you come from? Like, what is your background? Like,
Man.
okay, what's the
Man,
you got a Thug, you got to, well, you
Man, we came from the streets.
Okay.
I'm like goddamn.
Yes, Thug says that he is truly from the streets, having been shot at and been the shooter.
I don't got shot, you know, it will. Everything that happened, it don't been both ways. Robbed, killed, you got shot, stole, you know, everything. All those people.
And sure enough, here Thug is, in the trenches before the fame, toting straps, wiping his nose, and teaching infants how to throw up the blood sign.
Right now in the trenches, keep pistols. Oh, like you been all day now. Wipe your nose, nigga, no. Wipe yeah. Fine, nigga, Big B. Big B. Yeah. I know this shit. Little baby roller B.
So, Thug really did come up in these streets. But what streets specifically? Well, Thug himself originally hails from the Jonesboro South projects, which were actually demolished in 2008. Young Thug described the slum-like project where he comes from in a Fader interview as nothing but roaches and rats. In fact, Thug has even referred to the area where he grew up as Little Haiti or just Haiti due to its crumbling resemblance to the developing nation of Haiti, with Thug even making a track called Haiti Slang and actually naming one of his own daughters Haiti. But even more significant in his music is nearby Cleveland Avenue, which intersects with Jonesboro Road, and thanks to Thug, over the years has become one of the most famous streets in Atlanta trap music. So according to Thug, Jonesboro Road and the surrounding areas are so rough they resemble an undeveloped economy. And with all that in mind, it's no surprise that Cleveland Avenue has been a gang stronghold for several decades. Sometimes referred to as Bleveland Avenue due to its long-running association with the Blood Gang, who famously replaced the letter C with B, you know, because they hate Crips so much. And Young Thug has apparently been associated with the Bleveland Avenue Bloods from way back. Hell, if anything, it looks like Young Thug really boned up on his blood homework, because he's known to throw up so many blood hand signs in quick succession that it might as well be sign language. Now, the specific crew of Bleveland Avenue Bloods, who run the block that Thug comes from, is a crew by the name of Raised on Cleveland, abbreviated to ROC, or the Rock Crew. Sometimes it's restylized as RO5, once again replacing the C because they're Bloods, with other alternative acronyms for ROC being offered by Thug in an early Fader interview, including Rich Off Crime or Ready on Command. Basically, these are some serious Atlanta goons who are not to be played with. In fact, a 2011 bust on the Raised on Cleveland gang saw for the first time part of their operation exposed for the whole world to see, with US Marshals and an Atlanta police gang unit conducting a major sting operation on the gangbangers in Cleveland Avenue and the surrounding areas. This operation took 8 alleged members off of the streets, along with the seizure of 2 cars, $10,000 in cash, 4 guns, and drugs apparently worth 50 racks. Now, it's not quite a BMF level operation, but it's certainly proof that the criminal underworld of Cleveland Avenue is definitely active when it comes to trapping. And this is the environment that Young Thug and his team came up around. In fact, old videos of the Rock Crew chilling on their block around 2009 still circulate on YouTube today, showing Young Thug running through the streets of Atlanta, surrounded by his homies back when he used to go by the name Lil Jeff, showing off his unusually fashionable hood drip and clowning his homeboys for secretly photographing his unusual white boy swag fits.
King of white boy swagging, right? Stand on one time, let your lady folks see what you're doing now.
Rocked out right here, man. You know what I'm saying?
Ah, you check him out now.
That's what he's doing. He's on his phone, but he's taking pictures of me at the same time. You know what I'm saying?
In fact, in a kind of unusual uniting feature, it would appear that the Rock Crew would all identify themselves by wearing matching Rockefeller jeans.
I ain't shit with the Rock Republic motherfuckers, you hear me, man?
God, let my boy Lil G get on there. What you call him, the Will Chamber of this?
Anyway, Young Thug and his affiliates have gone on to pay homage to the Raised on Cleveland crews in music. YL Stunner had a project called Raised on Cleveland, Lil Keed had a whole mixtape series titled Trapped on Cleveland, and there's a number of interviews with Young Thug early in his career where he discusses being part of the Rock Crew, describing it as more like a family or even a religion. Now, at a certain point, the rapping guys from Cleveland Ave started referring to themselves as YSL rather than the Rock Crew. Now, if you ask the Atlanta police what YSL stands for, they would say Young Slime Life, an official set of the Bloods in Atlanta. But if you ask Young Thug, especially on camera, he'll tell you that YSL is his record label, Young Stoner Life, a totally legal enterprise that he uses to legitimately, as he says, hire hundreds of members of his own family. In fact, in a since-deleted Complex article titled Inside the Snake Pit, The Rise of Young Thug's YSL Label, Young Thug explains how YSL operates unlike any other label in the music industry and is in fact a genuine family. Now, in this long, rambling and kind of strange article, we don't get that much of a substantial explanation as to how YSL conducts their operations very differently to any other record label, other than the fact that Young Thug seems hell-bent on giving legitimate jobs to his friends and members of his immediate family by the dozens. The article did go on to explain that after his 2014 single Stoner picked up steam in the industry, Young Thug got on the radar of big-time rap label 300. Now, at a certain point, talk of Thug getting his own record label came about, and weirdly, when it came to setting up his label, one of the only questions Thug really had for senior decision makers was, how many people have you made a millionaire? Thug would actually go on to say that he wanted to use his YSL label as a vehicle to make all of his friends and family millionaires. So he went on to sign his day one friends Gunna and Lil Duke, later on with the likes of Lil Keed, Lil Gotit, and Yak Gotti joining the label, along with a number of other signees who aren't really that relevant yet. Now, that article goes on to repeatedly describe YSL as a family, and most importantly going on to suggest that at this point, they don't engage in any extracurricular activities. Now to me, this would suggest that the YSL movement represented Young Thug's genuine efforts to create a legitimate business, putting on all of the people he grew up with, taking them away from the risks of the streets or crime for good, with Thug using the enterprise to provide as many opportunities for those under his wing as he possibly could. Apparently YSL has a massive compound in LA called the Snake Pit, with multiple studios where YSL artists can pull up and record at any time. So YSL is a family, not dissimilar to how Thug kind of described the rock crew as a family or religion back in 2013. It's a really good thing that Thug's doing for his people, but again the question still remains. What makes YSL so special? Why does YSL stand out? Well actually the thing that seemed to have made YSL such a standout act in hip hop over the past few years is really how they pioneered the use of certain gang lingo in their music. Because if you know Young Thug and his songs, you probably know his lingo. One of the most popular catchphrases
You got a bunch of different lingo.
that Young Thug and his YSL movement are known for saying is slime. This is the word that Young Thug popularized in a lot of his songs, which can mean your friend, for example, you know, that's my friend, that's my slime, but the word slime can also mean a member of the Bloods. It can also mean to be slimy and untrustworthy like a snake, and while you're there, slime can also be used interchangeably to mean kill or hurt. For example, we have to slime the ops down. Now, the use of the phrase slime is traditional blood gang lingo, originally associated with Vado and the New York Bloods, but Vado wasn't the first to use it. In fact, the likes of Noriega had been using it on tracks since 2002, including the intro track Hit Me Slime from his God's Favorite album, where we even hear Queensbridge legend Nas calling Nori Slime too. So, being a Blood straight out of Cleveland Avenue, the word slime was apparently part of Young Thug's lexicon from an early age. But Young Thug seemed to be the first person, at least in the modern music industry, to make this slime blood lingo a big part of his persona. In fact, if you know Young Thug's catalogue well, you'll know that the majority of the imagery and artwork that surrounds his music is all slime and snake themed. Thug would actually later go on to tell Sway in an interview that he felt he found the secret formula when he realized that he was the first rapper to popularize the use of the phrase slime.
No, slime is like, it's like, I never seen no one in the rap game that really named themselves or been so-called slime.
Now, Thug explained to Sway that the meaning of the phrase slime was to mean untrustworthy.
Xing out. It's like, okay, you and me best friends, me and you hit a lick, we get 20,000, I cut 10,000, like it's only 10, you know, just like slime.
Slimy, yeah.
Slime. But he also enthusiastically denied it being a gang term.
So that's not a gang term or nothing.
No.
No?
A gang?
Gang, G-A-N-G, yeah, gang.
No.
No, okay,
The thing is, there's not actually that much consensus on the exact meaning of slime amongst the YSL crew. Lil Got It defined slime as another name for the YSL crew themselves.
Slime, YSL. You're slime, you're stone like, you're successful like, you know what I'm saying? Folks be saying, folks on me, be YSL like, they slime like.
But Got It also denied slime was a gang, once again echoing Thug's earlier comments that the YSL team are a family.
We slime, I don't know about the other niggas, but we slime. That's why I said she is a family. Not no gang, none of that, it's family.
But anyway, the phrase slime found its way into numerous early big songs of Thug's, and in some cases entire songs being based around the phrase, like the track Slime Shit, featuring YSL affiliates Pee Wee Roscoe, Lil Duke, and Yak Gotti. But as well as slime, there's another catchphrase that the YSL crew made popular and has since made its way all the way around the world. And that one is SLAT, which has apparently been explained as an acronym for Slime Love All the Time, a catchphrase that has been used regularly as an ad-lib amongst Young Thug, YSL rappers, and even beyond. At a certain point, the SLAT ad-lib became so popular, you can catch any number of famous rappers from Roddy Ricch, Lil Uzi Vert to YNW Melly using the song, which to me is just more proof of how powerful Young Thug and the YSL slime slat movement has become in modern rap culture. But what does slat even mean? Well, Lil Got It explained that slat was actually a slime greeting and farewell, like hello and goodbye.
Slat, that's a greetings or, you know what I'm saying, a farewell, like leaving, you know what I'm saying, slat.
And I tell you what, at a certain point, Thug's comments about YSL being a religion really start to ring true, because in one of the most cult-like practices of the YSL crew, apparently, upon joining the label, all signees are required to receive a slat tattoo on their nose-wiping finger. Because we can't forget that other catchphrase popularized by Young Thug and his YSL goons, wipe his nose, a slime-affiliated term associated with killing, e.g., we had to wipe that op's nose, a phrase which can be heard as early as 2014 on the Metro Thuggin' track, The Blangwitch. So anyway, that's the YSL crew, their complex background, history, and language. So I hope you can fully understand and appreciate where Young Thug and his YSL crew are coming from. As Thug said, YSL is more like a family than a record label. Problem is, as members of the family grow up and make that transition from the streets into the legitimate music industry, unfortunately, those street beefs can still come back to haunt you. And in this case, the young men coming out of Cleveland Avenue have apparently had a long-running and bitter feud with another group of young guys from a nearby area that goes by the name of Summerhill. Now, I know that Young Thug might not be the first artist that you think of when it comes to drill rappers spinning up the op block, but actually Young Thug can be heard dissing the opposing area of Summerhill in one of his earliest songs, Haiti Slang, where he says, "Everybody can't get it, I ain't from Summerhill, but I'm visiting." Now, Summerhill spawned a little-known crew in Atlanta called YFN, fronted up by their head honcho YFN LUCCI. LUCCI hails from Summerhill in Atlanta.
You know, I'm from Summerhill, so I walk over here with my boy, man. We just be kicking it, thinking about ways, you know, to get out, like how we gonna do it.
Now, that clip was actually from a Karen Civil interview with YFN LUCCI called Welcome to My Neighborhood. And in that piece, he also took her to the Trestle Tree Village Apartments, a nearby project where his homie YFN Trey Pound is from.
Now we in Trestle Tree, this area right here, my boy Pound, Trey Pound, you know, he in YFN. I met Pound when I was like 8 years old. We went to DA Stan. And that's where he stayed at.
YFN LUCCI broke down the realities of where he's from in a Vibe interview where he said not many make it out. And I'm sure you won't be surprised to find out that Summerhill is yet another ATL area associated with extensive gang activity. Numerous blood sets have apparently operated around these areas for a number of years, but according to Atlanta police, one of the most significant crews to click up and emerge out of Summerhill and nearby Peoplestown in Atlanta is the ABG, or Atlanta Blood Gang, with ABG sometimes also standing for Anybody Get It, apparently coming from their members' willingness to act out violence on literally anyone. So yeah, I wouldn't want to mess with these guys. According to the Atlanta police, the ABG are also clicked up with other Atlanta blood sets like the Bird Gang, apparently formed in the early 2000s in Atlanta's 4th Ward. And according to local police, Atlanta's many blood sets allegedly have ties to the original Inglewood family Bloods from Los Angeles. And as we're going to find out later on in this story, the Atlanta Bloods have other interstate connections that stretch as far as Miami too. So with all of these blood gang alliances, it's no surprise then that YFN LUCCI was apparently also close to fellow Atlanta Blood Bloody J, a red rag rocking Atlanta rapper who was apparently getting it in blood way before Dirk and Pooh Shiesty was, with his 2013 track Get It in Blood showing a lot of people for the first time that Atlanta had a big blood gang movement too. So you've got the Atlanta Blood Gang running in the streets with the red rags, and much like YSL, if you ask the Atlanta police, they would tell you that YFN is another violent blood set that's committing crimes in the streets, as well as having ties in the music industry. But if you ask YFN LUCCI, he would say YFN is not a gang, it's his rap collective and record label. YFN, of course, standing for Young Fly. Yeah.
And the YFN.
Do they really expect people to say, yeah, it's a gang? That's what I'm saying. Do they really expect people to be like, oh, yes? Yeah.
It's what?
A young fly nigga.
In fact, the full name is YFN BC.
Young fly nigga about cash, because I got a BC at the end, so it's young fly nigga about cash.
And it's not just LUCCI repping YFN either. He's joined by the likes of YFN K, his big brother who got him into rap, YFN Fat, who apparently became a blood at the ripe young age of 15, Ferrari Fred, or Fred Rari, a rapper signed to YFN hailing from Miami. Now look, we're going to get well into the music from artists on both sides of this beef, but for now, let's go back to the very beginning, because the beef between these two crews have a lot to do with their careers. Ultimately, both sides had the right idea. LUCCI and Thug are both young guys from tough, gang-infested areas, trying to get out and make a better life for themselves and their families. And at a certain point, both of them realised that they would be better off doing this in the music industry rather than in the streets. But unfortunately, after a long and difficult come-up, just as both artists were getting to their peak in the rap game, their unfortunate and violent past just kept on dragging them down.
Alright, we're gonna come back to it, but this part one, what y'all think? Y'all interested? We just gonna, man, and y'all already know what to do, man. Like, subscribe, comment. Shit, man, I already know. This seems like it's gonna be interesting because I don't know too much about these two, like I said before, so we just gonna see. But yeah, y'all already know what to do. Alright, I'm out.